election. There will be, so we'll do the best we can with our time.
Looks like Cheryl's having connectivity problems. She went frigid and then disappeared.
Yeah, she was worried about that. We might have to fill in for her also because of her problems, or if she turns her video off, would probably be the best.
Yeah, that might help.
Yeah, I know that can help.
Well, I had trouble with my printer. Are you going to screen print this today?
Well, I think, Lori, can
Yeah, we
you?
probably should.
Right. Lori, would you be able to screen share as we go through this?
Actually, Derek's going to be joining us.
Okay.
And he'll be screen sharing.
Okay, that's great. That
Thank
works
you.
the best.
I printed
Good
this.
afternoon, Alma Jean.
Great.
Hi, Stephen.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
I like this one-page document. That's great.
Yeah, it's really got it all there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one pager you're talking about is the one that says RPEC strategic plan with the 23 to 27 dates at the top.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And
That's
then on the back.
Ciao.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Can't hear
Good afternoon, Johanna. Hey, Mike, how did your Zoom chapter meeting go?
Oh, I think I was up to 2 people at any one time,
Oh,
besides myself.
well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't join at the last minute. I got pulled into
You're a busy man.
legislative.
Is that the first time you've tried Zoom, Mike?
No.
Audio.
You zoomed all the way through COVID time, as I recall.
Yeah, but I forgot how, but yeah.
Yeah, and the software's changed a little bit over time.
Hey there, Jay, how are you doing?
Oh, Cheryl,
You answered.
Yes.
how's your connectivity?
lost
You froze up
power.
there and went off.
Well, that's because we lost power and internet.
Oh,
I may be able to stay in on my phone. I'm not going to guarantee anything.
yeah.
At this
Well, you
point.
can also
Yeah.
you can also turn off the video if you have to.
Yeah.
Spare bandwidth.
Well, actually on my computer, it's offline. It won't it just took me right out of it, the meeting. So, yeah, on my phone, how am I? I'm going to have to go find someplace where I can actually see our talking points.
Oh, yeah.
A different room.
Good old Puget.
Yep.
Yep. Well, we've just, those winds are gusting up to 40 miles an hour there. So,
Yeah,
oh,
40
Joe,
miles
my
an hour
husband
is
says
pretty
it's
much.
steady 40s.
40 miles an hour was always the break point for the Snohomish PUD. They'd put everybody on call
Yeah.
if there was forecast for 40-mile-an-hours.
Yep. Yeah, I bet.
So executive committee and ad hoc committee, we did not request RSVPs for this meeting. So we don't know whether, for example, Penny's coming or Claude is coming. Oh, Betty Ray, nice to see you.
Thank you.
Candy Craig, who serves on our ad hoc committee and is our District 3 representative. Of course, she's very ill and she will not be able to join us today.
Oh.
Hi, Betty Ray, how are you feeling?
I am making progress.
Wonderful.
Yay.
Yep, that's awesome.
So I don't know whether Katrina will join. I don't know if Penny is planning to join. I just wanted to share that.
Penny was on the meeting this morning when I announced this meeting, so she was reminded.
Yes, I saw her.
I don't know whether Carol Dotlich will be joining us either. So Maurice, it's kind of up to you how long you want to wait. It's 1:03 right now. Do you want to give it a
Right,
couple more minutes?
I would, well, time is gonna be very precious to us. So I
Okay,
would say let's get started, and if we need to catch somebody up, we can catch them up as quickly as we can.
okay.
But we need to get, I think we need to get started due to our hard hour. So at this point, I'm gonna start this. It is 1:01 now, or that's what I have is 1:01 now. I want to thank everybody that is with us right now. Thank you for joining us. And we've got just information. We've got to complete this in an hour. It's a hard hour due to the weekly legislative update starting at 2 o'clock. So we'll try to move through as quickly as we can and save as much time as we can for questions and answers after our presentation. I want to introduce our ad hoc committee. As Lori indicated, Candy Craig won't be with us today due to illness. But I'd like to introduce everybody. My name is Maurice Garrett. I'm the chair of the ad hoc committee. We have Claire Olivers as president of RPEC, member of the committee, Cheryl Moisier, District 1 rep, member of the committee, and Alma Jean Marion, District Rep 9, and member of the committee. And for quick update for everybody, the ad hoc committee is serving as advisors to the board on the implementation of our strategic plan that's been developed. So as we move along, and I believe did everybody get an email copy of our presentation today? And the office will be doing screen sharing
Yes,
for
sir.
everyone also. So Claire, we'll move on to the next slide.
Okay, with the time that we have today, we're really focused on the role of the e-board in getting the word out about the strategic plan to all of the chapters. And you should have gotten already the materials for your use. The backgrounder, that's the one sheet of paper, two sides, light blue, and the PowerPoint presentation with talking points, which you can use all or some of or ad hoc or ad lib as you want. And then we're trying to run through this presentation fairly briskly today so that we can save as much time at the end for questions and such.
Okay, moving on to the next slide. For attending members is what is your role in communicating about the strategic plan? And the strategic plan is a document of the executive board, and it's one of our guiding documents that will help guide our decisions about the organization over the next 3 years. And because it's one of our guiding documents, it will help us continually prioritize and where we invest our energies and resources. And we have to be the ones to communicate that to our chapter leaders and members and to become familiar with your strategic plan so you can communicate that. And as Claire indicated on the printout you received or an email you received that you can print out, it gives you the talking points if there comes up any questions. And be aware that the ad hoc committee, all of our members and stuff will help anybody that has questions. And I know the office staff is available to help anybody with questions. And one thing we look at for the board members in this is we look at you to initiate and lead conversations about the plan and to correct any misinformation you hear from chapter leaders and members, or guide them down the right path. Because we do not need the misinformation tearing down what we're trying to achieve here. And that's very important. So hopefully this document and notes and things can help you squash that misinformation and put people on the right path. And on our next slide, the backgrounder, our one-page document, this actually is very useful and very helpful if you read through it. And one of the questions has been, why isn't the plan put on the website? The strategic plan contains proprietary information about RPEC and some of our challenges. This kind of content is customary in a strategic plan, and it's the reason they're not made public on websites. And all board members and chapter presidents did receive the final PDF of the document. And in your notes, you'll see it's customary for nonprofits, public agencies, and private companies to only post the background or the one page. And to give a high level overview on why it exists of our document. And the document is posted on the current website and will be posted on the new website, which is scheduled to be launched in the spring. Okay, Cheryl, if we put up the next okay, Cheryl, go ahead.
Okay, the next slide is the PowerPoint presentation. And we recognize that some of your chapters do not have the capability to show a PowerPoint at the monthly meeting. If they do, that's great. Go ahead and use it. It's a tool that you can use to give verbal presentations that are not supported by PowerPoint. If you're not giving a PowerPoint presentation to one of your chapters and are giving a verbal one, you can always copy a few pages from this presentation and make it available as a handout to the members. Each PowerPoint slide includes some sample messaging or details that you can share to help chapter leaders and members better understand the board's priorities and the purpose of the plan.
So the agenda for the PowerPoint presentations is designed to be customized. You can hide slides individually, and so if you're presenting at a chapter with a tight time limit, you might want to shorten the presentation down to a smaller a smaller deck of slides, and and you can include, but definitely include the purpose slide, the goals slide, and make sure there's still time for questions at the end. And then the means by which you hide a slide, you just go to the slide, hover on the slide, right click, and there'll be a pull down menu where hide slide is an option, and the slide will not be deleted, but it will shorten the presentation, and you can recall it again if you need to, especially if like it's relevant to a question that comes up. And
Claire, I could try to do this in real time if you want. You want me to try?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So let me see if I can do this by, I don't know if it's going to let me do this. I'm going to stop screen share for just a second.
You'd have to go out of presentation mode.
I'm going to have to do that. So give me 1 second here. Oh.
I just have a quick question. What is the distribution of this one pager? Is that going to be mailed to everybody now? Emailed to everybody?
Be posted on the website.
It'll be posted on the website and
mailed out.
And it's a great handout for people to, I mean, that'd be one of the things that would be great to make hard copies of to hand out when you present to your chapters.
Okay,
Okay, I'm going to try to do this again. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. So you can see that I have the frame up. Can you see the frame?
Yes.
So what you do is, boy, I do this all the time and I'm not. Do you see how I right clicked on it and this little index box pops up?
Where did you
And
click on it?
so I highlighted,
Okay.
I'm just doing the first one.
Over in the,
I'm
over in
just,
the
I'm
left-hand
putting,
side.
yeah, I'm putting my
Yes,
cursor,
okay.
I'm putting my cursor on the slide. And if I right click, excuse me, why is it doing that? Oh, sorry. If you right click on the slide, it gives you all these options. Like you can duplicate it, you can delete it. What Claire's suggesting is don't delete it. If you come all the way down to the bottom, it says hide. So if you push hide, what happens is, do you see the hashtag that's across, or excuse me, the slash that's across the one? Can you see that on your screens?
Yeah, so now
Yeah.
if you,
Yes.
now if
Do
you
you
go to
see that?
presentation mode, it should start with slide 2, right?
Yes, you're not going to see that slide. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but let's go to the beginning. See how it popped up the agenda, which is
Right,
the second slide?
right, goes to the second one, yeah.
It hides it.
It's
So,
pretty easy. So if you're time constricted, this
so
is a
I,
way you can just hit the high points.
yep. And what I was going to say, I'm sorry to cut you short. If you go back to that slide and say you're giving another presentation, all you do is the same thing. You right click on it and you go down and it says unhide slide and you unhide it. And then you can, so this gives you the ability to, like Claire was saying, if you only have 5 minutes, just pick out a couple of them that are relevant and just hide the rest.
Is it a fair question? Is it a fair question to ask? Has anybody tried to time this, doing a complete presentation using all slides?
No, because this is designed to be customized and we don't know to what degree you'll speak at length about any one of these slides.
Okay.
Much of this is just provided as background for each of you so that you can be, this is kind of like your cheat sheet on the strategic plan. I'm going to stop sharing for a second and I'll bring up the full document again. Good questions.
So from here, we're gonna quickly go through the presentation. But we're not gonna go into all the talking points and the detail that that's available to you in the talking points at the bottoms of the slides. Because
Okay.
that's for you to choose how much depth you want to go, based on, you know, how much time you have or what kind of questions you're getting, that sort of thing. So in order, we're starting, well, you know, the agenda for the presentation as a whole is the purpose, the process, the structure, the goals, the first year's priorities, and then that longer timeline to 27 virtual regional meetings that will be available for people to attend, and next steps and questions. So we can go on to the next slide, I believe.
Right. Okay, Alma Jean, your time to talk. You're muted.
Here we go. All right. Thank you. Folks want to know RPEC. RPEC? What's RPEC? What are they about? These are the kinds of questions you're going to be asked. And it's helpful, I think, if you know and can answer succinctly. Define your organization's overall direction. Know what your goals are, your objectives, your strategy. And we also, as a board and as a council, we want to know that there are resources available for you to attain all of these things that we claim to be. I'm sometimes asked, why now? Why haven't we been doing this? We've been doing it, but it's been a while. It's been at least 5 years since we had a strategic plan. When I came on board in 2014, I was asking questions that was all about the strategic plan. And executive directors like Lori says, it's coming. Well, here it is, folks. So chapter participation, we understand, is down, not only here, just here in Seattle, but all over, nationwide. Tried and true things, the way we used to do things, they don't do it this way anymore. They have new ways of doing things, new language, and we have to keep up. Plan 2 and 3 members, they're interested, but they want to see us work more on areas that they feel are more impactful, federal legislative activities, policy issues. So that is our rationale as to who we are. Implementation is already underway, and it's an ongoing process. Strategic plans are not stagnant. They constantly change, continuous quality improvement, never satisfied with what we are doing presently, always looking forward, always trying to hear the music out there, to be able to talk to the people that we serve. So we listen, we plan, we act, we evaluate, and we're listening to you. Implementation is ongoing.
Very good.
Sorry, Alma Jean.
All
Cheryl,
right. Yep, I'm still here. The
Okay.
strategic plan, the next slide is about strategic plan structure. And this slide isn't really important to show in presentations, but it's good information for you to have. A good place to show the goals is to use the backgrounder. It lays them out there and lays out how we came up with them. The next slide is goals. And this is an important slide to show. Our members need to understand that the goals were shaped by the board from the feedback that we got. And like I said, that's really well laid out on the backgrounder. The board considered all the information that we got from our members and put these goals together. And if you're giving a presentation and can't show this slide, you try to speak to the goal areas so they understand our priority areas, but also show it on the backgrounder as a tool for presentation. Okay. The next slide is kind of hard to use. It's a little complicated. You may show it if you have time, but again, the backgrounder may be an easier way to show what the executive board milestones are for the years 2024 to 2027. And they appear on the back page of the goals. Okay, the next slide is the executive board priorities for 2024. And this earlier slide showed our broad goals, the broad goal areas. This slide gives specifics on what the executive board is going to be looking at to do in 2024. What are our priorities, what we want to try to accomplish. This is another good slide to share at chapters. Or if you if you don't have the capability of doing a PowerPoint presentation, it's a good slide to share the information of where we're going this year, what our priorities are. Okay.
Okay. This slide is on strategic plan and ad hoc committee. And the slide is really for your background information only. It can be used in presentations. And the ad hoc committee was in place to ensure the board focused on the strategic plan priorities and to help them and assist them in doing this. We are there to make recommendations for the board's consideration. and actions regarding implementations. You might have members that want to know how the plan is being implemented. The ad hoc committee is helping to tackle some of these priorities outlined in the plan. And you might have people ask, why is another committee needed? Why is this? Why is that? Well, the ad hoc committee has been given the responsibility because the board only meets 4 times a year. And we have a lot of things that need attention between those times. And the ad hoc committee is meeting a lot more frequently than that. We're trying to meet, at this point, we're meeting at least twice a month. And that is to help the board strive in implementing this strategic plan and getting the news out and answering questions for that. All right, Claire?
Well, now I'm unmuted.
Oh, okay.
The timeline provides some additional detail, but of 2024 in particular. The purpose of this is to it may be more detailed than you need, but the purpose of this is to stimulate questions or answer questions that people may have in their heads about what's happening now and what's happening next. And it's just to give people a broad understanding of what the board's trying to accomplish this year through the August board meeting. And of course, these are the goals we've set for ourselves. We may or may not get all this done in the time that we're talking about here. So watch for future updates as each board meeting is going to have some updates on the process as we go.
Okay. And this slide pertains to virtual regional meetings. And one of the concepts outlined in the plan is for the board members to host virtual regional meetings with their chapter officers. The meetings will be customized to the information and needs of your chapters. You'll be working largely with me. I am the membership chair and Jacob in scheduling them. And one thing we're hoping for is to pilot the regional meeting concept sometime this spring. And Jake and I will be working on that. And we anticipate working with you to schedule those meetings after the pilot is complete. And the virtual meetings will help provide you with another chance to talk about the plan and answer questions. But their main purpose is to support your chapter presidents wherever they might need it. We anticipate working with each of you to build a meeting agenda that reflects the needs of your regions. For instance, chapter presidents in one district might want a tutorial on best practices around hybrid meetings. And another district, they might want to understand better the PAC endorsement process. I mean, there's a varied amount of topics that can be discussed depending on your region and chapter. And we will customize the agenda in the council membership meeting. Council membership committee will support you in this. So we need you to get the word out that, the help is there for you. And we plan to help everyone in anything they might need. Okay. Here's one that hopefully will garner some questions and maybe some answers for people. Misinformation. The process RPEC is used to construct the plan is totally different from what WIFC and Council 2 does with their plans. And we've heard the presidents may not be involved in providing input. The strategic plan is costing us a lot of money. The council office and executive committee are pushing this plan on us, not our elected leaders. And the council office has shared the plan with presidents, hasn't shared the plan with presidents or members. Again, misinformation. And it's been more than 5 years since we've had a strategic plan. There is some confusion about what the plan is and how the board will use it. These statements capture some of the misinformation we've been hearing. And hopefully as presidents or as board members, you've maybe heard some of these too, and we can work together to clear up these misinformations. And as I indicated at the beginning of our meeting, the board is responsible for communicating the plan and also helping our members to better understand why it exists and how it will be used. And let's look at some of these statements that address the misinformation. The process used to construct the plan is totally different than WISC and Council 2 does their plans. Our process mirrors the current process that WISC is using. So that's answer to one of them. Council 2 does not have a current strategic plan. So if you've heard they do, they don't. WISC and Washington State Labor Council started their process just like ours. They surveyed their members. Their boards meet in work sessions, consider member input when identifying potential priorities. Each board identified and approved the goals and prioritized them. Their plans are written with board review and approval. Neither WFC nor Washington State Labor Council send their plans to their locals for input. Their boards, like ours, are made up of elected statewide leaders who represent their membership statewide. And the strategic plan, and this is important, is a guiding document of the board, and the board is elected to represent the statewide interests of all members. And one thing I think we've all heard, and if you've been attending a lot of these meetings, that presidents are not involved in providing input. All members provide input through scientifically administered telephone poll and all member surveys. All presidents received a draft of the plan in October. Some district reps like me met with presidents to obtain their input. Their input was shared along with mine and our district rep in my area. Strategic plans are dynamic documents. Ongoing feedback is welcome so we can continue to refine the plan. And Claire, would you like to jump in here on this?
Sure. The strategic plan costs money. Well, the plan's a written document used to guide the board. It's implemented by the board, council office, and chapters. Implementing the plan is leveraging an investment of time. There are specific tasks that we endeavor to do over the next few years to continue to strengthen RPEC. The costs for the implementation are already largely built into existing budgets and use current resources. The council office and executive committee are pushing the plan on us, not our elected leaders. The document was unanimously approved by the board. The executive committee reviewed the draft in September and recommended that it be placed on the agenda for discussion and action at the November board meeting. That's the role of the executive committee, to consider potential action items of the board and to construct the meeting agendas. The council office will work with the board and chapter to implement the plan. The plan is a guiding document of the board, which includes the executive committee. The council office is there to support its implementation, as are the chapters. The council office, here's the next one. The council office hasn't shared the plan with presidents and members. Presidents received the draft plan in October. Some attended the November board meeting and provided input. All received the final approved plan in December. Strategic planning is an ongoing process. The board will continue to evaluate and refine the plan as needed. Input is always welcome. The strategic plan is an internal strategic confidential document for our board and leaders. It contains information that shows our areas of concern and vulnerability. That is why it is not public and will not be given to all members. WFC and the State Labor Council also do not provide their strategic plans to their members at large, nor place them as public documents on their website.
Go ahead with the next slide.
Do you want to stop
Or-
here, Maurice, before we go on? You just have one more frame left. And
Yeah,
take any questions? I think this is questions anyway.
right.
Okay.
We're moving on to question.
Yeah,
So
sorry
at this
about that.
time, yeah, and we're interested, what other what other rumors are you hearing that we can maybe help you with and address today? And beyond the background and the PowerPoints with samples, sample talking points. And what other resources would be helpful to you in communicating about the strategic plan to your presidents and members? So open to questions.
Do you see Nancy's hand? Nancy and Steve both have
Yeah.
their hands up. Nancy,
Okay.
I think, was first.
Okay.
Okay.
I raised my hand before you said what kind of questions you were expecting. Mine was on the slide you had on misinformation. And you said that WFC and Council 2 about their plans, and that Council 2 doesn't have a plan at all. And then you added later on that WFC and Council 2 shared their plans. And I think you didn't mean to include Council 2 in that statement.
Okay, right. Council 2 does not have a strategic plan at this point.
But I think later on you said WFC and Council 2 shared their plans. And so I
Oh,
think
Well, I
and-
may have misstated. What I was intending to say was that neither WFC nor the State Labor Council have published their plans on their websites. They haven't shared them with with all their members at large. But they are board documents, and they've been, shared within the board. And they've put information on their website like that two-pager that handout that we've developed for these presentations.
okay, fine. Just want to
Does that
clarify.
answer your question,
Yes.
Nancy?
Thank you.
Okay, Steve, you have your hand up?
Yes, I've communicated with my presidents about organizational needs they have with their different chapters, but I have not talked to them about the strategic plan, nor have they talked to me about it. So is it our desire to go over this plan with each of the chapter presidents? And we got a convention year coming up here. Do we want to get this done before the convention?
Well, have you discussed with your presidents in your district if they or have a copy of the plan and stuff? I think that would clear up some of that probably, just to confirm with them quickly. Did you receive your copy of the strategic plan? Do you have any questions on it? Or
Yeah,
any
when was
assistance
it
you might need?
when was it sent to the presidents?
Originally one of the drafts was sent back in October, a draft plan in October, and for them to cover and attend the November executive board meeting to add any input they wanted to add. So that was provided to them in October. And then when it was finalized by the board, they all received their copies in December of the final
Okay.
plan.
Can I add
But that
something
might be
there?
a start.
Can
Go
I
ahead,
add?
Claire, I'm sorry.
I'm glad the misinformation slide is up, because what the misinformation slide demonstrates is that in the absence of correct information, folks will make up something that seems appropriate to them to fill in the blank.
Yep.
And so I, in answer to your timing question, Stephen, I think the sooner we can make the presentations to chapters, the better. And if that, if you can be one of the early sort of regional meetings, that's great too. But in your regular rounds of going to chapters, the sooner you can get the information in their hands, the correct information in the hands, I think the better off everybody's going to be, because they'll make something up if they don't have the facts.
Okay, I got it.
And maybe provide them with that one pager, Steve. Make sure that they
Yes.
have that.
They didn't get that in the October mailing, then I take it.
It wasn't that document wasn't finalized till after the board approved the plan.
Okay,
And I'm gonna have to, I've got both my hands busy with this meeting. So I'm gonna ask, it looks like maybe Alyssa or Jacob or Derek could confirm if in the distribution we did to presidents in December, if they received the one pager. I don't believe that they did. because I think we wanted our executive board members to have the opportunity to share that information with them individually. But someone needs to help me with that,
Yeah,
because
I'll
otherwise I'm
check
gonna
real
have
quick.
to, okay, otherwise I'm gonna have to stop screen sharing and check my emails, and I can't really do that at the same time. Thank you.
Am
We'll
I,
check, Steve.
am I the only one that can only see the top of Steve's head?
Oh,
No, I can see the top. Yeah,
There you go.
there we go.
okay.
Okay, Alyssa, Alyssa or Jacob, did you want to chime in to answer that question Lori related to?
They might be still
I'm
looking.
digging through my
They're still looking.
emails real
Oh,
quick.
okay.
Sorry.
Maybe
no
we
problem.
can, maybe we
Johanna?
can come back to it.
Okay, we can come back to it. Johanna, you had your hand up. Are you still there?
I wonder if she got windswept.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too, because she had
I
her
got
hand
it.
up.
I guess while we have a sec. So yeah, the chapter presidents received both the final strategic plan and the one pager that was sent on the 21st of December.
Thank you, Alyssa.
I do not have a question anymore. It was answered.
Okay, thank you, Johanna.
And we should just
Yeah.
mention that Alyssa in particular, but all of us monitor communication that comes in. And I don't believe we've had any input received from chapter presidents about what they received in December.
I haven't received anything.
I haven't heard anything from them in my district.
But maybe that doesn't mean that maybe they didn't read the email. Who knows? So it still would be valuable if you can share that with them, because we want them to be supportive of your decisions around the organization's direction.
Would
Does
anyone
anybody
like,
have any? Oh, go ahead.
would anyone like
Johanna.
to would anyone like to speculate as to why people might think that these things were being handed off to them by people that were not elected when we are the board and we are elected? Is there a rationale for that?
One of the comments that came to us was that there was an inference that the council and the executive committee were working independent of the board. And so maybe they didn't understand that the executive committee is made up of all the executive officers, and their role was to review the draft and to recommend that it be reviewed by the board. But that's what they do when it comes to agenda items for board meetings. So that's part of their responsibility.
Yeah, that helps a little bit to kind of frame that for me. It was puzzling.
And does anybody have any questions or any rumors that they've heard that they'd like to share that maybe we could work through also? And one thing for you guys to all consider and think about, beyond the PowerPoint presentation and the backgrounder with the sample talking points, are there other resources? What other resources would be helpful to you in communicating about the strategic plan to your presidents and members?
I wonder if it would be helpful. This sounds odd, but there's an article in our 990 that specifically asks about whether our organization has the right policies and information shared with the chapters so that they don't do things that are not doable under our articles of incorporation and our exempt standing. Would that be helpful? I mean, would it be helpful to have a resource, an official resource able to back you up in making these points, rather than just saying, well, it's this way, you'll have to believe me?
I don't think that's a bad idea. But what would it take, Joanna, to put something like that together?
Well,
I
I think,
mean, to like a one pager maybe, if possible, or two pager.
I think I could give it a whack, but I'd have to have somebody else vet it. There are just some extracts that one sees as an officer and particularly as treasurer that you see that other people don't see. Did you have that sense, Claire, when you were doing treasurer stuff, that you saw resources that provide the information that show why, in fact, we are required to do certain things?
I think if I could jump in for a second,
Sure.
the strategic plan, I mean, we haven't had one for over 5 years. And Council 2 doesn't have one. And so this is a different type of document that probably isn't specifically covered in those items that you're referencing. Because this is a document that's used by boards like ours. And when the rumor surfaced about us using a different process, I met with Kurt Spiegel. I met with Michael Rainey. I met with Joe Kendo, who's the chief of staff to April Sims, to find out what their processes were, to see if in fact our process was different. So I would be concerned that this is becoming more complicated than need be.
I don't want to do that, but I want to remind you of the response to the budget situation with the charitable donations and such, and the responses that came back that were, they're passed along to one, is that we don't have the authority to tell people that they can't publish their newsletter in exactly the same way that they always did, and so on and so forth. But there are underlying responsibilities and formal responsibilities that do allow us to do that, and that it's not a personal thing. This is not a personal, gee, we want to tell you how to run your lives.
I would, again, I just caution, I think I don't think that it's necessary to couple the operating budget with the strategic plan. I would keep this much more high level, and I really think that this makes this far more complicated than need be. It's within the board's authority to develop a strategic plan, period. That's part of what you're there to do, is to set and guide the organization's broad strategic direction. And that's in our Constitution. So I just caution you, I think that this is becoming too complicated and unnecessary.
If I might add, given that all the chapter leaders are volunteers, we can't make them really do anything, but we can explain to them that there are a significant consequences to the organization as a whole, of which they are a part. It's not just the office in Olympia that has to follow the financial standards of AFSCME, which keep us on a good stead with the IRS, which is what ultimately Johanna's worried about. The chapters have to follow those financial standards too, and that's why we do training on that every year. And it's not just for fun, it's because it's essential to the life of the organization, the protection of the organization.
Absolutely.
But
go ahead, Claire, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wasn't looking for, I don't know what I was looking. I was looking to be able to say to somebody who says to me, you don't have the right to tell me what to do, that I have to prepare an annual budget. You do not have the right to do that. I want to know how to answer those kinds of things. And I think I have an answer, but I'm not sure what Nancy might say. if somebody said, you
So
don't have.
Most of the things in the strategic plan, and of course, the strategic plan is not a policy. So it's not something that answers
Right.
the question, what policies do you have and do they cover everything? It is a plan.
Mhm.
But in answering the question of a chapter that's not had a budget before and thinks that might be a lot of work to put one together, I think the way to answer that is it's best practice. And if you look around just even our organization, you will find the majority of chapters have had budgets for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's best practice for any nonprofit and any sub part of a nonprofit to anticipate what their revenues and expenses are going to be and plan accordingly.
I agree. Okay, I'm done with that. I just wanted to see if there was I don't know. I guess I don't know what I wanted. Go ahead.
If I could real quick, I think the easiest answer, Johanna, is to refer back to the Constitution. Article 4, the duties and authority of the executive board, Section 1 is the executive board shall be the governing body of the council.
You're
So
right. Thank you.
the board has every right to tell a chapter what to do.
Thank you.
And all the Appendix A's refer back to the RPEC Constitution.
Thank you, Derek.
it's,
Good
and
point,
that
Derek.
falls on page 7. I actually pulled my constitution and was looking through it as you were speaking, Johanna. All of you received, you have the constitution, but you also received it at the June leadership training. So you should have that in your packets.
Thank you, guys. Those are very good points. Steve, you have your hand up?
Yes, I think most of the members in my district's connection with the plan is actually through the survey that was taken that was used as background for the plan. And so I'm going to be trying to at least have in the back of my mind the connection between the surveys and the results we see in the actions suggested by the strategic plan.
Mhm.
At least that's what I've heard from at least one of my presidents. And the other thing that I'm a little bit fearful about on the budgeting side, I believe budgets are necessary, but I think that some of the chapters probably cannot come up with budget categories that are big enough to cover everything that they have in their balance in their account or their total income for their chapter. And they're maybe wondering if we're looking for we're going to evaluate their budget and say, okay,
Big brother.
you've got some budget here, you've got money you're not using. And they're going to be fearful that they might be asked to give some of that up. I don't know.
They are already providing the essential information every year because the council office files their simple abbreviated 990 form. Every chapter has to file a 990. The council's 990 goes on for, oh, you've seen it, it made for a thick packet until August or at the November board meeting. But it can be as small as a postcard for the chapters. And
really
but they have to send the information to the council office to do that filing, and that information is essentially how much money do you have in the bank, and how much comes in, how much goes out.
Well, yeah, I understand that. But the budget would be more comprehensive in that it would say, this is how we're going to use the money.
The budget would provide more details that people, I suppose, could get excited about, but that would probably just be one or two line items.
Because right now the treasurers, the individual chapter treasurers are reporting their cash balance to Elizabeth so she can put it in the 990. And that's about the extent of it. This is the amount of money we have. It's not delineating how it's used.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe I'm trying to build too much into this budgeting question.
Yeah, you don't have to have a lot of detail in your budget. You know, there's only a few things that chapters typically do, unless you're Olympia.
Yes.
And
Okay.
and Elizabeth's developed a template to help, and it was based off of she had asked some of our, as Claire mentioned, there's a lot of chapters that already do budgets. So she reached out to some of the chapter presidents and they provided her with their budgets, and she used what they had to build this template. So it's come from examples that are already being used across the state by our chapters.
Okay.
That answer your question, Steve?
Yeah, that answered it.
Okay, Jean, you have your hand up?
Yes, I'd just like to offer some a thought in my thinking, because I see so much so much can be addressed through good communications. Among things that I have learned through the years, that people do not want to be ignored. They want to be heard. And they want to feel that when they express a dissatisfaction or a satisfaction, that it is heard and it's understood. Customer satisfaction surveys, evaluations of meetings, evaluations of programs helps strategic plans achieve its objective. Because, like, we hear you, we're listening, we're interested in what you have to say. I get comments from some leaders that no one ever listens to what I say. Good ideas come before this board all the time and they die. Our response, communications, is really critical to anything that we try to do, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori, I see you have your hand up, and just remind everybody we have about 7 minutes left. Go ahead, Lori.
So my question is, if you're hearing things from the field just in general that are recommendations for the executive board, how are you bringing that information forward so that it can be addressed? Are you taking advantage of good of the order? Are you passing that information up through the executive officers so that it can, whatever the idea can be discussed and whether it should come forward to the executive board? It might be helpful to better articulate that process of how the information flows from the chapter presidents. I do think that the regional virtual meetings that Maurice talked about and that are identified in the plan are a great way for you as board members to, to ask questions of your presidents, and we could build in a mechanism to where that's coming forward to the executive officers and to the council. But I'm curious, how does that flow now, and how can that process be improved?
This is Alma Jean. We have quite a structure as a council. We have committees. I always think the action is in the committees. That's where it's really hammered out. The real conversations are held. We maybe could do more to get people involved in committee structure. You want to know about finances? Come to the finance committee. You can come as a guest. We come to the board meetings. This is how you learn. You don't start at the top. You start at the bottom and work your way up through the umbrella. It's education. It's communications. And we need to use what we have to involve our members, particularly those who want answers?
Laurie, one way that I get information, and if you're asking how it comes, I get it from past presidents and past vice presidents and so on and so forth, who attend their meetings, and we occasionally chat, and I hear it. I hear what happened and who knocked who out in the third round. That's not a very formal thing to do, but that's the only way actually that I get information about anybody else's meetings.
Good point. Well, yeah, people were winding down now. I want to thank everybody that attended today. I want to thank the ad hoc committee members for their hard work and diligence in getting this presentation done. I want to thank the office staff for all their endless help in helping us prepare for these kind of meetings. And just on a go away note, remember, miscommunication and rumors can tear us apart, and we don't want to see that. So if you hear bad things, or if you hear something you want to know, go to the contact the council office, contact your executive committee, somebody to say, is this true? Instead of going, oh, okay, maybe not. But I mean, and try to push that through to your people in your district and stuff. If you hear something, go to the office or go to executive committee member, find out, I heard this today, is this true? What can you tell me about this? That's the only way we're going to start breaking these down and getting the proper information out there, because we can build ourselves up, but we can also tear ourselves down, and we don't want to do that. So let's hope moving forward, we all go through with this will be helpful, and we can squash those kind of things and stop that before it creates damage that we cannot reverse. So again, thank everybody for attending, and
I had a couple thank yous.
Go
I
ahead,
want to
Clay.
thank Cheryl, Alma, Jean, and Maurice for doing the presentations today, and Maurice especially for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add my thanks. I appreciate this format. I like that everyone participated, and you simplified things so that people could see what it is. But I'd just like to mention that I had 3 people come to me and ask me, what's an ad hoc committee? What does that mean? Who are these people? What's ad hoc? And I mean, it sounds simple. We all know it's for this one issue, but I think we just can't assume that everybody knows what we're saying sometimes. I think just explaining it very simply is so important.
Good
I
one.
have a quick
Joanna,
question.
real quick, because we got to go.
I just want to know if Andy's all right, or is she hospitalized, or what?
A bad case of like whatever crud flu's going around
Oh, okay.
would be the
So
best
she's
way I could put it.
not hospitalized or anything. Okay, thank you.
Hey, one other reminder for everybody, those of you who are going to be making presentations, we don't say it, but it's pretty obvious that the vast majority of our members really have not interacted with a strategic plan before. So this is more foreign to them than we might assume.
Right.
Good point. Good point.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Well done. I love the one pager.
See you at the next meeting.
Yeah. See you in a minute.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you, Seth.